When it comes to the ketogenic diet, there's a lot of myths out there. And so in this video, we're going to be debunking a lot of those myths and go over what is true and what's not true. So myth number one is that all low-carb foods are keto-friendly. And this is a mistake that a lot of people make when they first do the ketogenic diet. They go to the grocery store, they see things that are labeled as keto or keto-friendly, and they automatically think and trust that that is keto-friendly, and that's just not the case. You have to be very vigilant in looking at the ingredients and the nutrition facts of these foods to make sure that there's no added sugar. Sometimes they'll sneak in added sugar, things like maltodextrin, which is a sugar, or dextrose as well. And they can get very sneaky. Even though it's a small amount, you will see some of these foods that are labeled as keto, but they're really not keto friendly. And so that's why I highly recommend to do your own research and look at the ingredient label and the nutrition facts to see if these foods that are labeled keto really are keto friendly. Myth number two is that keto is some new fad diet that was just recently discovered in the past few years. Keto is actually our body's natural metabolic state that we can enter into when we run out of food. So technically, keto has been around since the beginning of time because our ancestors didn't always have access to food like we do, and so they probably had to go periods of time without food, and they were able to do that because of the ketogenic process in our bodies where we run out of food and our bodies can break down stored body fat and convert that stored body fat into energy by producing ketones. And so keto has actually been around since the beginning of time. It was first actually discovered in the 1920s as a tool to help kids with severe epilepsy, and it got rid of their seizures. And so that's where it was first discovered, oh, this high-fat diet is getting rid of these seizures. And since then, we've learned a lot more about it. And yes, in the health and fitness industry, there is this tendency to jump onto these types of trends or approaches to lose weight in the quickest way possible, and keto's become very popular, and so people think it's just some new diet. But if you look at the history of it, you do your research, it's very well studied with a lot of scientific research showing how healthy and effective the ketogenic diet is in so many areas outside of diet and weight loss, right? We're talking about epilepsy and seizures and traumatic brain injury and brain toxicity and Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and even certain forms of cancer. So it's way more than just that. Myth number three is that everyone has the same carbohydrate needs. And sometimes you'll see when people do the ketogenic diet, the rules are, hey, keep your carbs 30 grams or less per day, and that will automatically guarantee that you'll get into ketosis. This is where bio-individuality comes into play, and some people might need less carbs than that. And some people, like me, I can get away with more carbs and eat 50, 70 grams of carbs and still be in a state of ketosis. This is why on the ketogenic diet, it's super important to test your blood ketone levels with a blood ketone monitor to make sure you know what your carb threshold is, and that way you know how many grams of carbs you can eat per day and still stay in ketosis, because we're not all the same. It's different for every single person. Myth number four is that keto is all about eating copious amounts of fat. And yes, the ketogenic diet is a high-fat, moderate protein, low-carb diet, which forces your body to produce ketones. But the reason that it's doing that is because you are limiting glucose. You're limiting carbohydrates into the body, not just eating lots of fat, because if you ate high fat with high carbs, your body is still not going to be able to achieve ketosis because you're eating tons of glucose. But if you cut down glucose to around maybe 20 grams or 30 grams per day, depending on the person, your body is starved of glucose and now needs to find an alternative fuel source, which it will produce with ketones. But not just eating the fat is what makes you get into a state of ketosis, but limiting glucose. So hopefully this video was helpful for you if you're trying to learn how to do the ketogenic diet the right way. Go to my website, fittofat2fit.com, or check out my book, Complete Keto, on Amazon to learn how to do keto the right way so you don't fall into these traps and make these mistakes that a lot of people make. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.